How you doing, Charlie?
Sure. Pretty good, man.
Welcome.
Pretty good.
Welcome to the hot seat.
Yeah.
You ready? We have some
Your
serious
first
questions here
question's
for
tough.
you. Yeah. Well, how does it feel to be the newest member of Schiller and Hamilton?
Awesome, man. I'm loving it so far. Learning a lot already. Don't know very much, and trying to learn as fast as I can, hopefully. I mean, right now I'm doing things pretty slow and methodically. But
Well, so this is your second day. So, like, when we say welcome to Schiller and Hamilton, like, literally welcome to Schiller and Hamilton.
yeah.
And you're coming from an experience where you haven't been in practice before. You've clerked before coming out of law school. So this is really your first position as a real lawyer.
Yeah.
So
100%.
you're day 2
Day 2.
of real lawyering,
Right.
which is awesome. I mean, that's pretty cool to think about. Like,
Yeah.
welcome to the profession, welcome to the firm, like, welcome to all sorts of things. That's kind of a big
Yeah.
deal. Recently moved,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yep.
So moved into Charlotte, I believe.
Charlotte, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I think our friend Kevin down in Beaufort is very glad to no longer be the newest attorney at Schiller and Hamilton. He's been here, I think, 3 months, and he has yet to come to the hot seat.
Yeah.
So he needs to take a trip up here. Speaking of Kevin, I called you Charlie. That's not actually your name.
No, it's Kevin Charles Corrigan.
Okay.
Like, growing up, everyone called me Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes teachers would call me Kevin, and I would just be like, "That's me." Never correct them. So
Mhm.
I kind of respond to either.
Is there one that kind of happens more than the other?
Last year, the clerkship was Kevin, but before that, it was just Charlie.
Like law school, college, it was always
Right.
Charlie.
Or Sam, because I don't know if I told you this yet, but
How many names do you have?
no, I have an identical twin brother.
I did not know
so
that.
I would either get called
Wow,
Sam,
okay.
Charlie, or Kevin.
Okay. I'm guessing
Probably
that the
Sam,
twin's
yeah.
brother, the twin is named Sam.
Right.
Okay. That makes more sense.
So it was brutal.
Yeah. So you just basically answered anything.
Anything. Literally anything. So
Well, so what are you doing for Schiller and Hamilton? What are you practicing? I know this is day 2, but what have you been doing for 2 days?
So yesterday, as you put it, was syllabus day,
Mhm.
where I just kind of, I guess, got a little bit into everything from a bird's eye view. And today, so far, I've been drafting demand letters.
Mhm.
I guess on the litigation side of things,
Yeah.
which I'll have you review those. They're probably terrible right now, but
I'm sure
you
they're fantastic.
they're yeah, masterpieces.
Well, tell me a little bit. So before you were here, we mentioned this is your first job. Where were you right before you came here, though? Because you didn't just come out of law school.
Right. So I graduated law school and I clerked for Judge Brown in Florence County
Mm-hmm.
for the last year. And my last day on that job was last Friday. So I moved about 2 weeks ago to Charlotte and was commuting mostly between Florence and Charlotte. So,
That's a long commute.
oh yeah.
For people who aren't familiar, how long is that commute?
So it's 2 hours there, 2 hours back.
That's some dedication.
Yeah, it was
And what kind of car do you have?
2007 4Runner.
Okay. Not the best gas mileage.
Yeah.
So
And it has 295,000 miles on it.
So that's what's great about a Toyota,
Oh, yeah.
though. I mean,
Amazing.
that's just breaking it in.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Yeah, the emergency engine light has been on for at least 2 years. And it's
As long as it's not flashing.
I mean, it might be flashing, it might not, but it works like a charm.
Yeah. Well, as long as it runs, then I guess you're good. So why would somebody go into a clerkship? What kind of experience did you gain from that?
So, I mean, the clerkship, there's a lot of hugely beneficial aspects of it, but just the one that sticks out to me the most is having in-court experience. Because at least in South Carolina, the way it works is the judge sits kind of front and center, and then there's the court reporter over on one side, and on the other side, there's just kind of someone who sits there, and sometimes a lot of people don't know who that is, but generally that's the law clerk. So you get to see firsthand like what arguments work, what don't. They submit briefings and motions to the court, so you get to review them and sometimes brief them for the judge. Sometimes work together to review the case and related documents. So you get to read basically the case before it goes into court, and you get to see how they communicate that information that you just read to the judge. So it's a really good way to see, like, it's interesting to see how they relay that information to the judge. So as far as getting to see what it's like to litigate, it was incredibly valuable for that. And we would do legal research as well, which, you know, is obviously a really important skill, but definitely that first part was huge.
So it sounds like you're getting a lot of experience both on the law side, which is the research and everything, but also the trial advocacy side.
Mm-hmm.
So, and honestly, it's kind of hard as a plaintiff's lawyer or as a defense attorney to get into the courtroom. A lot of times cases resolve before you ever make it into the courtroom. That's what ADR is for. You either end up resolving the case at mediation or sometimes way before you even file a lawsuit. So in that year, I mean, you kind of get more experience in a courtroom than an attorney might get in their entire lifetime.
Yeah.
Even though you're not the one actually advocating or arguing, you're there listening to different styles.
Right.
Is there like a particular attorney or a particular style of advocacy or anything that you kind of thought, well, that's a way to model my own way that I'm going to go about my career?
Yeah. So one style that I saw that I thought was really effective, and the judge I worked for really liked it as well, was when attorneys, I mean, whether the case was simple, complicated, just you can tell they had prepared thoroughly and organized well, because they would whittle down the arguments to an accurate but brief summary, cite the supporting facts, supporting law, and it would just be a concise, almost like an outline of their arguments, which versus kind of was effective in contrast to the other side when you're kind of going, I guess, stream of thought and hitting the main arguments, but then you kind of forget another factor, another point of law that was for your last argument, and then you jump back and you say, anyways, continuing on, and it just it isn't as time efficient, and it's not as effective.
So you can tell when someone's just winging it.
Right, and
are you surprised how many attorneys seem to come into court and just wing it?
Some did, but there was like supreme preparation where it was, you can tell, just really
like the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah. Then there was like prepared, and then occasionally there was like true winging it. But yeah, I mean, you definitely saw a difference between the different types of, and some guys are, you know, been doing it for forever, so they can pull off the, you know, quick intake of information and just prepare. I guess on the way to the courtroom, just okay. I guess. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that goes into that. So I think people come out of a clerkship. I didn't have a clerkship. Well, at least not a judicial clerkship. But a lot of people come out of a judicial clerkship either saying, I can't wait to be a judge, or I would never want to be a judge. So what side of that coin do you fall on?
I don't know. I probably would not want to be a judge at the end of the day, because it's so much responsibility as far as so much rests on your shoulders, especially in criminal court. I mean, when it comes to the trials that my judge presided over, the most were criminal trials. So I mean, you know, he was in charge of sentencing, and that's heavy stuff. It's so just that weight being on your shoulders is something that I guess that'd be a lot, you know, that'd be a lot to handle. But
so you're talking about somebody comes in, whether it's a plea deal or after a jury trial, and the judge has to weigh all the facts, weigh whether or not that person is remorseful, weigh the impact on the family, the community, the number of offenses, and weigh all of these things, and then come up with a number.
Right.
And that number is time.
Yeah.
Of that person's life that is just going to be, they're going to be locked away.
Yeah.
And that is really heavy. I mean, it's you need that person in a community or a society to make those types of decisions. But yeah, I think I agree. It's a special kind of person to be able to make those decisions and not have it affect them, or if it does affect them, at least not in a way that doesn't let them to continue to do the job effectively.
Right. Especially with younger defendants. I mean, the burden is huge. And another thing that I thought about during the clerkship is when it comes to the civil side, judges definitely have to be incredibly confident and sure of themselves, because, you know, sometimes there'll be a docket when there's, 13 motions in a day, 10 motions in a day, and most of them are pretty complex, like eminent domain, personal injury, defamation, just all over the place.
So like several disparate areas of law.
Right, and some
and very particular in each of those disparate areas of law.
Right, and some construction cases. I mean, so you hear a quick summary of all these different facts that you may not, that you're just hearing for the first time, law that, I mean, you have to brush up on, and that's what clerks help with a little bit. But I mean, so you have to make a decision and be confident in that decision. I mean, and just so many decisions, and so that you definitely have to have a certain level of confidence and knowledge to, be able to make those decisions.
So you came out of there landing in a plaintiff's firm on the civil side. So when you went into that clerkship, did you intend to end up in plaintiff's litigation, or were you still open to other areas of law or other sides of even civil?
So I wanted to be on the plaintiff side of litigation, but we talked about this during my interview. I don't know if I should repeat this, but like I wanted to do the plaintiff side. During law school, I clerked at insurance defense firms, but I always wanted to do work on the plaintiff side. But I was having trouble finding a good option to practice on the plaintiff side, and I mean, that's all I'll say about that. But I saw this advertisement for hiring, and I applied the day of. So
that's kind of interesting. I want to get into maybe some of the negatives of the plaintiff side, because there are several, and we can discuss those. But what was it about the culture of this firm or the position, or what was it that attracted you to the position?
So I could just tell from y'all's advertisements or lack thereof that y'all weren't similar to some other plaintiffs firms, that it seems like marketing and just churning out cases as fast as you can, without doing much verification of the extent of the injury, just more like a factory. I could tell by interviewing with y'all's website, checking y'all out, y'all's newsletters, that this wasn't the culture of the firm at all. It was word of mouth, which, you verified during the interview. It was reaching out in the community, being part of the community, being involved in local government, which I didn't figure out till later, but that was great to find out. Just a different approach to how y'all handle cases, how you handle clients, the results you seek, the verification of the validity of the claim, and actually, protecting people who've been legitimately injured.
So in a way, all those things you're describing are actually harder.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's harder.
Yeah.
It's harder to care. It's harder to do
Right.
other things. It's harder to generate referrals. What is it about, like, you personally? Like, obviously, you have to be comfortable, like, working that way and forming those relationships. Like, what is it about you that makes you want to practice law that way?
Well, I have an answer for that, but it's probably like not great. I'll say it. I mean, you see those billboards, and you like, I'm not disparaging anyone, but you hear like the 411 pain rap, and it seems just disconnected from the like reality and seriousness of people being severely injured and
Sure.
needing, someone who they can talk to, know personally, explain their family situation, their actual life, and what they're experiencing. It seemed like some firms are, or at least the way they market themselves, are just totally detached from like a pretty serious traumatic event in someone's life. So that's not the way I wanted to roll, and that's not the way y'all roll. So
do you have like a particular set of values that kind of inform how you go about practicing law? I know you're 2 days into your practice.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, you went to the Citadel, for instance, Carolina Law, like those are both two great institutions. Were there like a particular set of values that you were instilled in you either from when you were younger or at the Citadel or throughout your law firm or law school experience that you think kind of prepped you in a certain way to how you wanted to go about starting your legal career?
Well, as far as practicing law, I don't have any kind of complex moral code or like ethical code. Really, it's just I want to be honest. I want to just fair to the other side, fair to my client. Be truthful. Try to get the best result from my client rather than trying to get the best result for myself or the most convenient result for myself. So really, just honesty. I don't know how much of the stigma is of some attorneys is true that the general public holds, but the stigma is definitely there that it's a field in many instances of greed or detachment from your client's needs and rather just kind of climbing the ladder. And so just that is what I want to do the opposite of, because like as you know, in law school, it's just not what the law is supposed to be.
I agree.
All, but.
So how did the Citadel prepare you for law school? Like the law school is a grind.
Yeah.
Like there's not such thing. I mean, some people say, oh, well, law school is easy. Well, if you're doing it the right way and putting in the work and doing all the reading, even if you understand it and it's easy for you to understand, it still takes a lot of time. Like no one reads 150 pages a night and it's easy. Like, it still takes time.
And also, who reads every night? I mean, let's be honest.
Right. Everyone has some nice work. Well, and that's who says it's easy, right? Like if you're not trying to keep up with the reading, then yeah, it's easy. If you just don't. But obviously, like the Citadel has, an awesome reputation for preparing people for those types of positions. What do you feel like the Citadel was able to do for you to prepare you?
Definitely time management, especially knob year. It was just the schedule was crazy. It was absurd. You were exhausted the whole time. You got 3 hours of sleep.
What is knob year? Explain that to people.
Okay, knob year is freshman year at the Citadel. It lasts from early August, early August until late spring. So it's called the fourth class system, and basically you're just not even a pledge, just an Uber pledge. You're just like a bottom feeder.
You're lower than low.
Yeah. So
what's the point of that? What does that do for you?
So the point of that is that it breaks you down to build you up, essentially. And another point of it is, in my opinion, just to create a adversarial and difficult year that sucks and that everyone hates. So when you get through it, you first of all have a bond with your classmates. That's incredible. I mean, almost all my best friends to this day went to Citadel, but also, other Citadel graduates in the Citadel community kind of have a mutual understanding and respect for one another because we all know that we all went through the same exact thing. So, you can meet a Citadel grad who you've never seen before in your life, and you're like, oh, wow, that's, you feel like you kind of know them through that shared experience. Mm-hmm. And of course, I mean, the Citadel graduates from 2000, think the ones from 2010 had an easy knob year. So there is that, but that's mostly joking.
Yeah.
Except for the knobs after me, they actually had it easy.
And then like back in like the 60s, of course, they're like, okay, you have no idea what it was like.
Yeah, they're just like, we got lit on fire. No, I mean, it was, back then, crazy.
So did you know going in that that's what it was like? What was your concept of it like when you were in high school and you're picking a college? Because most people would say, oh, I want to go to Clemson and have a really good time or go to Carolina. You're like, no, I want to go learn how to be comfortable being uncomfortable and like go through this process.
Yeah.
Did you have a realistic perception of what that was like or was going to be like?
Not really. I knew some Citadel grads through my dad, some of his friends, and I really respected them a lot. I mean, you don't really know much about it before you go. You just can't. Like, even if you're friends with someone who went there, you can't really describe it to someone. It's just too bizarre to really articulate. But I read a book by Pat Conroy, he's a Citadel grad, called Lords of Discipline.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that book is crazy.
Should be required reading probably for anybody going to Citadel, I'd imagine.
Right. But the stuff they go through in that book is absolutely insane. And it's loosely based off actual, I guess, traditions as far as your pledgeship. But, I mean, I would be shocked if it wasn't at least a little bit exaggerated. Maybe it wasn't. I mean, he was, I think, in the Citadel maybe after Vietnam. Mm-hmm. But anyways, so I read that book, and bizarrely enough, it made me want to go there because just I saw the bond that these guys had and that this experience was unique and that it, definitely, if you let it, makes you a better person, creates a good environment for you to excel and kind of push yourself. But I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. I just read that book and I just thought to myself,
is that the only school you applied to?
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to Citadel.
That's pretty cool.
It's gonna be a blast.
Yeah, I'm gonna love it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna love being uncomfortable so much.
Yeah.
But that's a good. I mean, I think it's really important for anyone to learn how to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Right.
And whether that's going to the Citadel or doing God knows what, like pushing yourself to some kind of limit.
Right.
just getting that comfort level.
Yeah, and going back to your original question, that really translated well to 1L year because, I mean, you know, the Citadel's just like anything else in life. It's something that's really difficult, and you're not used to it. Just like when you first start off as a lawyer, you first go to law school, and it gives you that experience of persevering, basically through discomfort and misery, essentially, which was definitely the first half of my 1L experience. I hated it, but so it was. You kind of had some muscle memory, at least for myself, to embrace the suck.
Yeah, got to embrace the suck because it's just a grind, right?
Yeah.
So 1L, again, we keep using these terms. I'm sure that there may be, and that's fine. I'm sure there's lawyers listening or non-lawyers, but so 1L's like your first year of law school, right? So you go into your first year of law school, and it's like that first day, and everyone has that one professor who's crazy, and that one professor who's just like, I want you to read 250 pages by tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so what was your process? Like, how did you keep up? Did you go into it saying, okay, I'm going to read every case, I'm going to read everything assigned? Did you maybe back off of that a little bit? Did you ever kind of get bit if you weren't prepared for a class? Like, everyone has that story where you get called on and you're like, oh, I only read half the case or whatever.
I'm sure that did happen. Nothing comes to mind, but I'm positive it did. But
it's all a blur, right?
Right. So I do remember I went there for orientation first day, and for no reason whatsoever, I automatically just hated everyone there. Mm-hmm. I don't even know why. It was, I don't know. I was immediately distrustful of everyone, or I guess I just, not even that. I just didn't like anyone because during the first few, I guess, classes or orientations or what have you, people would like be raising their hand to share, and they would talk, and then I was just kind of sitting back, it's your first day, and I was just like, man, all these kids are just like eager to, come off as super smart. So I just thought that, but then, I mean,
Gunners, right?
Yeah, right. And, but then I made a lot of really close friends there, and I actually ended up really liking everyone in my section that I graduated with. But as far as class goes, I would read, like first semester, I would read all the cases assigned 2 or 3 times, not retain anything, not understand what was going on, get called on in class, absolutely butcher it, appear like I didn't read even though I read it 2 or 3 times. And that was pretty much how it went.
Yeah. Was there a moment where you kind of felt everything start to click? Where you kind of started to think, okay, I'm learning to think like a lawyer?
Second semester.
Second semester?
Yeah, almost immediately. First semester, I don't know. Did
you discover outlines or like nutshells or anything like that at some point?
Yeah. I did it all. Yeah. Everything. I mean, I was looking at nutshells. So first semester, I actually didn't make my own outline. Mm-hmm. I mean, because if I did, it would have just been like nonsense.
Like 200 pages of just whatever.
I mean, it wouldn't have even made sense. Like, I didn't even know where to start. Mm-hmm. But so I started forming my own kind of outlines, and instead of just laboring over each case, just like, what does that word mean? Google. I would just kind of look for key elements of the case, like facts, generally speaking. What was the issue? Generally speaking, what was the rule of law? Like, this case established, or what was the rule of law that this case discusses from prior law? And that helped me a lot. Just not honing in too much. Mm-hmm. Not because that would just geek me out, and I would just.
Do you have any lawyers in your family? Anyone older?
My granddad.
My
granddad
went through law school. Yeah. Was he able to talk to you a little bit about what it was going to be like, or did you talk to anyone else about what it was going to be like?
I didn't really talk to anyone about what it was going to be
like. You went in blind.
Yeah, and,
like Costanza.
Yeah, yeah. And my granddad passed away in 2001, so I couldn't talk to him. But even if he was around, I probably wouldn't have talked to him. Mm-hmm. I didn't really think too much about it. I was like, I was pretty nervous because I knew I was just going to get wrecked. But I was like, you know what? Nothing I do is going to make it not terrible. So
embrace the suck, right?
Yeah, it's going to happen. So
where is home? Where are you from?
Columbia.
Where'd you grow up in Columbia?
Richland County, kind of near Fort Jackson.
Okay.
In Forest Acres.
Okay.
That general.
So what high school did you go to?
Hammond.
So that's where my wife's from, is Forest Acres. She lives,
nice.
Her family's right over there, actually. Right by Fort Jackson off of Kilburn, which is probably right around where you, Lake Catherine area.
Yeah.
So kind of right where you grew up, probably. All right, fun questions. Ready? Favorite color?
Pass. I'm just kidding. Probably green.
Green. Okay. Favorite animal.
Penguin.
Penguin. That's a good one. Favorite food.
Burger.
Clemson or South Carolina?
Probably neither. I'm a Georgia fan. Actually, Clemson. My
Georgia fan. How did that happen?
My
you grew up in Columbia.
Yeah.
You went to Carolina Law School, and you didn't immediately say Carolina.
So my parents met at UGA.
Okay.
And like my little brother.
Are they from Georgia?
So my dad's from Atlanta. My mom's from Columbia.
Okay.
Yeah. But actually Clemson. I mean, my fiance is a USC grad, and I mean, I guess technically I am too because I went to law school there, but I can't do it. The hatred's it's too
strong.
real. I mean, I don't talk about it and I suppress it, especially around my fiance, but it's there.
I got you.
So,
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Popeyes or Bojangles?
This is a tough one.
Forget the sandwich.
Bojangles.
Bojangles? Okay.
Yeah.
Last 3 songs you played in your car or on your phone or whatever. Or give me the last one.
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of Rainbow Kitten Surprise recently.
I
know that's the weirdest name of band ever, but they're actually really good. They're like it's kind of like Mumford and Sons, but
okay,
more like Ratchet, I guess, but not actually Ratchet, just like somewhere in between. They're really good. They're from I think they went to school in App State. They're like from that area, but they're great. They're kind of folky. It's hard to explain, but
cool.
They're way cooler than their name.
What would be the title of your memoirs?
I'm Confused.
That's a good one.
By Charlie Corgan.
There you go. What's the last show you binge watched?
I binge watched so many shows. Let me think. I'm binge watching Umbrella Academy right now.
I've not seen that one.
Have you seen It's great.
Is that on Netflix or?
Season just dropped Friday.
What is that on Netflix?
Netflix.
It's a great show.
Yeah, it's like superheroes, but they're all kind of like scumbags, and they're just like mentally ill and like
really.
Yeah,
that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
But Ozark. I mean, have you seen Ozark?
Ozark's incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite shows ever.
Yeah, Jason Bateman's the man.
What about your last movie?
Last movie. I don't even remember, honestly. I have no clue.
What was the last movie you saw in the theater?
Oh, man. Pre-corona.
Pre-corona. It's like a different world, isn't it?
You mean the last movie I will ever see in a
Right,
theater?
yeah.
Dang, I don't even know. Like, I remember seeing Batman, The Dark Knight Returns, but that was 2008.
That was
I've seen
a very long time ago.
That was the first thing.
Joker?
Yeah.
Yeah. You saw that in theater?
Oh, I did. Yeah.
Saw the Joker in the theater?
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie's incredible. If someone gave you a hippo, what would you do with it?
I wouldn't sell it.
You can't sell it. I should have told you that. That's one of the rules. You can't sell it.
You can't. So you gotta keep it. I mean, I guess I would just get a nice little pool in the. That wouldn't work. I would. That's a good question, man. Are they saltwater or?
I'm pretty sure they're freshwater. Yeah.
Maybe go down to Lake Murray and just kind of like
just be free.
A little abandoned part and kind of like block it off. No.
Have you heard about the hippos in what's the guy's name? Why did my mind just go blank? The cocaine dealer in South America, like back in the 80s. He had hippos.
Are you talking about the guy who Johnny Depp played? And
the guy that he went to go see.
Okay.
I can't believe I can't remember the guy's name. But yeah, are you talking about the movie Blow?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the movie Blow, he went to go see the guy and set up the connection to import all the cocaine into the country.
Yeah.
As soon as I stopped thinking about it, I'll remember it. Anyway, so he had a zoo at his house when he was making,
talking about Escobar?
Yes. I don't know why I can't remember Pablo Escobar. Duh. Anyway, so he had hippos. And so when he was taken down, like by the feds of, Colombia or whatever, those hippos were just kind of let go because the government was like, we don't know what to do with hippos. So they just let them go into the jungle. So now there's like jungle hippos. And because they bred and they actually did really well.
That's
so
crazy.
now they like live in the rivers and everything down there, but they're all descendants of Pablo Escobar's hippos.
Escobar hippos.
So now there's like hippos that aren't really native to, but are flourishing down there. Yeah. So
that's insane.
Yeah, pretty
apparently
crazy.
Apparently they're insanely aggressive.
They're like
Like,
the most dangerous
It will
animal.
jack you up.
Yeah, more people die of like hippo attacks in Africa
Yeah.
than lions.
Yeah, and those things can move too. Like,
Have you seen? There's a video I saw a guy like in a canoe, and this hippo's chasing him in the water,
yeah,
and like the guy's like, it's not a paddle canoe, it's like a motor
yeah,
canoe.
yeah.
And
you,
the hippo
see
like has
its
a wake
eye.
coming
Yeah.
up behind him, and it looks like it's about to eat the
I think
whole
it's
canoe.
close. They're just. I mean, that thing could just easily tip over.
I would
the boat.
bite that thing in half.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. Do you have a favorite video game?
That'd be a good way to die, though.
Hippo attack.
Hippo.
It would be.
I mean, if you had to go,
it'd be a good story.
if you die, I mean, it might be. Nah, no, I take
Everyone
that
that
back.
knew,
It'd
be
be a
like, "See
terrible
what
way-
happened to Charlie?
That'd be a terrible way to die.
Hippo got him.
Take it back because everyone would just like kind of like laugh or start.
Like that idiot let a hippo
Yeah,
kill him."
yeah.
Do you have a favorite video game?
Nah.
Don't really play video games. I don't know, man. This is cool. What else do you want people to know about you?
That's pretty much it.
That's pretty much
That's
it.
pretty much it. Yeah.
Can you describe your job badly?
Man, I guess just as of right now, it's just you giving me stuff, and I'm just attempting to figure out what's going on. But hopefully it'll be a fast learning curve. But I guess, man, that's honestly the best description I can muster. At this point.
Just people give me stuff,
Yeah. People
and
give
I
me
try to
stuff,
not
and
screw it up.
And yeah.
Story of all of our lives.
I
So,
know.
awesome, man. Well, welcome to the firm.
Yeah.
Thanks for sitting down in the hot seat.
Yeah, man.
And look forward to working with you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yep. Thank you.